Hi friends, in this very lesson on chemistry, we're going to be looking at the second question we are given as a take-home on balancing complex redox equation. In our previous lesson, we are given two major questions to get us tested, and in this very lesson, we're going to be solving the second question. So if you're just seeing this very question for the first time, I want to give it a try. I would love you to just pause this very video and attempt it. So let's dive right into it. We are asked to balance Hg plus NO3 minus plus Cl minus equals to HgCl4 with a power of 2 minus plus NO2 in both acidic and alkaline media. So how do we balance this? As you can see, this is a complex redox equation. So first of all, we are going to be balancing this in acidic medium. So let's see how we can balance this in acidic medium. There's the second and the final question we are given as a take-home. So first of all, we are going to be getting our oxidation number for all the players, for the reactant and for the product. So we have this, we have 2 minus, we have 4 atoms of chlorine, then plus NO2. So if you look at the Hg, which is mercury, oxidation number for this is 0. Oxygen is always minus 2. So if oxygen is minus 2, it means nitrogen is plus 5. Nitrogen, minus 2 times 3 equals to minus 1. We end up having plus 5. Chlorine is minus 1 on this reactant. So chlorine here also is minus 1. So if chlorine is minus 1, it means Hg is, that's be minus 1 times 4, which is minus 4. It means the mercury here will be plus 2. Minus 4 crosses to the other side, becomes plus 4 minus 2. So oxygen here is minus 2. Nitrogen here, if oxygen is minus 2 times 2, which is minus 4. The charge here is 0, so nitrogen will be plus 4. So we have everything well set out. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at for the reduction and for the oxidation. So if Hg here, which is mercury, is 0, mercury here is plus 2. So this is oxidation. Don't forget increment in oxidation number is oxidation. When you look at chlorine, chlorine here minus 1, minus 1. Chlorine is not the biggest player here when it comes to this very equation. So we're going to leave that out. Same thing, with oxygen. Oxygen is minus 2. Minus 2, they are not really the biggest of all players. So when we look at nitrogen, nitrogen here is plus 5, while nitrogen here is plus 4. So there is visibly a reduction in oxidation number. So this is reduction when you look at this and you compare plus 5 down to plus 4. So this is reduction, RED. So the first thing we're going to be looking at, we're going to be working first on oxidation. Let's quickly work on that. Now, when you look at Hg here, Ag, now we have chlorine here, chlorine atom here. We also have another chlorine atom here. Let's say Hg plus the chlorine atom minus, which gives us HgCl4, then 2 minus. Now, don't forget the two major players here are the mercury atoms from 0 down to plus 2. It means 2 was added. It's very visible. It's an increment from this to this. So 2 was added. But don't forget the fact that if not for those 4 atoms of chlorine, there will not have been, this mercury, I beg your pardon, having plus 2. So the chlorine also is very, very important. So chlorine here, 4 atoms, which is minus 1 oxidation number, brought about the Hg, which is mercury, having plus 2 oxidation number. And that's why we are also working with the chlorine atom here, Cl minus 1. So first of all, we can balance the chlorine atom as simple as that. 4 atoms here of chlorine. We just add our 4 to this, 4 atoms of chlorine. Mercury is balanced, just 1 atom, 1 atom. But let's talk about the oxidation number first. So plus 2 was added to this, oxidation number 0, to bring about plus 2 here. So how do we explain that? Don't forget, you're going to explain that using electrons. So it means 2 electrons, were subtracted from this to get what we have here, to get this to be plus 2. So HgCl4, 2 minus. So don't forget 0 minus 2 times minus 1 will give us plus 2 on the very end. So everything here is balanced. Mercury here 1 atom, mercury here 1 atom, chlorine here 4 atoms, chlorine here 4 atoms. We are done with the oxidation. This is super balanced. This is equation 1. Don't forget that we are working on acidic medium. So this is settled. So quickly we're going to be looking at the reduction. That's the next thing we're going to be looking at. So let's look at the reduction. So for the reduction, quickly, we're working on the reduction now. For reduction, we have NO3 minus, NO3 minus gives us NO2. NO2 without a charge. There's no charge in this. So when you look at this, the nitrogen here is plus 5. Nitrogen here is plus 4. Visible reduction in oxidation number. So what happened? -1 was attached to this to bring about this. So if -1 is attached to this, how do we do that? It means you're going to be adding 1 electron. Let's quickly do that. So it means NO3 minus plus an electron, which will give us NO2, just NO2 without a charge attached to it. It's neutral. So now the nitrogen here, one atom, nitrogen here, one atom, that is fine. Oxygen here, 3 atoms, oxygen here, 3 atoms. Don't forget that there are 2 major atoms of element that complicates the whole thing. Because of those very atoms of the elements you're talking about, we are discussing complex redox equation. These elements make the whole thing complex. What are the elements? Oxygen and hydrogen very often. These are the 2 major players that bring about this complex stuff we are talking about. So oxygen here is 3 atoms, oxygen here is 2 atoms. There's no way we can easily balance this. You can just add 2 atoms and 2 atoms. So when it comes to acidic medium, don't forget, under reduction, how do we balance out reduction under acidic medium? Don't forget that in our previous lesson we said for reduction, we're going to be adding hydrogen ion to this place and water to the product end. So we're going to be doing that right away. So we're going to add hydrogen ion to this and then water to this place. So let's bring it over to this place. So now we NO3 minus plus hydrogen ion, then plus electron, which will give us NO2, then plus water molecule. So quickly, we're going to balance this. We're going to be using the trial-error method. I think that will be fine for this. So quickly, nitrogen, 1 atom, nitrogen, 1 atom, nitrogen is settled. Very beautiful. Oxygen here, 3 atoms on the reactant end. Oxygen on the product end, 2 plus 1 is 3 atoms. That's nice. Hydrogen here is 2 atoms from the water molecule. Hydrogen here is 1 atom. So we're going to be adding our 2. We're going to add 2 coefficient of 2 to the hydrogen here. And this balances the whole setup. So what do we have here? We have everything well balanced. So nitrogen, 1 atom, that's nice. 3 atoms of oxygen that is on the reactant end. 3 atoms also of oxygen on the product end. Now hydrogen here 2 atoms, hydrogen here 2 atoms. So we are done with the reduction. So this is equation 2, oxidation, equation 1. So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to bring them together and finish up everything for the acidic medium. So when you look at this, you're going to be using simultaneous, this simultaneous equation. You're going to be using the elimination method to solve this simultaneously. So for the oxidation, we have 2 electrons. For the reduction, we have 1 electron. So how do we do that? Elimination method, best after this. So 2 electrons, 1 electron. So how do we do that? We're just going to times this with 1. And so times this, we multiply this with 2. So here, multiply this with 1 and here with 2. So let's quickly do that. 1 times all this. Let's quickly bring it over to this place. That's Hg minus 2 electron plus 4Cl minus, which will give us HgCl4 2 minus. So 2 multiplies all this will give us 2NO3 minus, and then plus 4 hydrogen ion, then plus 2 electrons, which will give us 2NO2, 2NO2 plus 2 water molecules. So we're going to combine everything right away. So we have them all the same already. 2 electron, 2 electron. So we're going to add up. So when we add up, it takes out the electron. So what I'm going to do next, now we end up adding up all the work, all the reactants, and then all the products. So let's quickly do that. We're going to have Hg. We're going to have Hg, then plus 4Cl minus, then plus 2NO3 minus. So what do we have? We have plus 4 hydrogen ion equals to HgC42 minus, then plus 2NO2 plus 2H2O. We have it perfectly balanced. So everything is balanced. This is how to balance this in acidic medium. So we are done with this very lesson. So we balance this in acidic medium. In the next lesson, you're going to be balancing this in alkaline medium. So if you've gained 1 or 2 things from this very lesson, I would love you to subscribe to the very channel at EduMosaic and also give me a follow on Facebook at Revelation and share this lesson also with others. See you in the next lesson. Thanks and bye for now.